Welcome to another F1 fantasy video, a team selection ahead of Azerbaijan in race week 8. I have activated my wildcard, but it hasn't gone according to plan. I'll be talking about that very soon. But first of all, I'm going to talk about my race week 7 performance in Monaco before moving on to my team selection. On screen, you can see my third team in Monaco, and I actually scored 208 points, and I've got 1,327 points overall with this team. Now, there's actually quite a significant difference between all three of my squads in terms of points, despite the fact that most of them are generally very similar. Now, I made a conscious decision actually heading into this race week to bring in the likes of Pierre Gasly, because AlphaTauri were looking very strong during the practice sessions, and Gasly was pretty much top of all of those sessions. So I thought, you know what, a nice differential. Pierre Gasly could be a very good purchase there. If he had a good qualifying session, then I thought he would maybe translate that into the race and secure a top 10 finish. But he actually qualified very poorly in 17th, and most of the kind of action in the early stages of the race were down to Pierre Gasly chasing down his competitors, trying to make some overtakes. But ultimately, he did finish 11th, unfortunately, but still, he made a gain of 6 places, which isn't too bad. So he wasn't the worst pick, although still very disappointing because I did expect a bit more from him. And then Sergio Perez, I mean, what can I say about him? I'm going to talk about him more so in my second team, and you'll see why in a second. But everyone else did very well in my team, except maybe Leclerc, you could say. Very underwhelming for him to get pole position. He's my turbo driver in my first and third teams, but he wasn't able to secure that win. He just has really bad luck in Monaco, and this time it was through no fault of his own. It was all down to Ferrari and their strategy, or the lack of strategy, you could say. But speaking of Ferrari, as you can see, a decent haul of points there, but it could have been much higher, and I expected Ferrari to be the strongest in Monaco. Team 2 is the gift that keeps on giving, and actually I've got 237 points this week with 1,590 points overall. Now look at the left hand corner of your screen, that is the results and the scores of my first team. I'm around 34k, which is a very high rank, with 1,447. Imagine I've almost got 150 more points with Team 2. I don't even want to think about which rank I would be if this was my main team. But there you go. I backed Ferrari to actually win the race. I thought Leclerc would break his streak, his kind of curse, should I say, in Monaco. But in the end, poor decision making from Ferrari with the pit stop. That cost him the race. I think Leclerc would have won it ultimately. And Sergio Perez took advantage. He was there. Fair play to him. He's been really good this year. Last season, he was very, very far away from Verstappen, which most drivers tend to be. But this year, he's right there in the mix, and he could even fight for the championship. And Red Bull ended up getting 69 points, as you can see, with Perez claiming 92. The only disappointment, really, was Magnussen with minus points because him and his teammate Mick Schumacher didn't finish the race. So that was disappointing. But overall, not many complaints with this team, and it just keeps on delivering. And ultimately, maybe I need to start backing Red Bull and Sergio Perez more. A differential captain, a differential constructor, and that seems to be the winning formula at the moment. I can't have too many complaints with my first team. You don't want to be ungrateful. My rank is still very high, as I said earlier, around 34k, 1,447 points overall, and 195 points in this race week. But it was my lowest performing team in Monaco. Magnussen with minus points there, as you can see. Lando Norris was decent, but he did lose a place to George Russell, who once again finished in the top 5, the only driver to have finished in the top 5 in every single race so far. He's been Mr. Consistent. And Sergio Perez there once again, as well as Sainz, Leclerc and Ferrari. So not the worst, but Red Bull and Sergio Perez as the turbo driver was the difference there between my first and second teams, as usual. So I want to find a way of clawing this back, and I keep on saying this every single video, but I need to just find that winning formula there. And at the moment, it seems to be Sergio Perez and Red Bull. And Azerbaijan is actually one of Perez's strongest tracks, so don't be surprised if he wins there once again or finishes in the top 2, and he's right up there in the championship battle. So that's going to be very interesting. It'd be great to see a three-way fight for the title like we did in 2007 with Hamilton, Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen. That would be fantastic. Now let me show you how all three teams look like side by side, at least in Monaco, before showing you my Race Week 8 team selection and wildcard squad. Let me know what your squad was in Monaco and which changes you're looking to make ahead of Baku. It'd be very good to see. In my opinion, right now, what the best squad is, without looking at the practice sessions ahead of Baku, is having Sergio Perez, probably Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, as well as Red Bull. So you pretty much cover both teams in the best possible way. As much as I'd like to recommend Verstappen, he's far too much money for someone you can't ultimately captain. And then the final spots could include someone like Lando Norris, if you don't want to go for Carlos Sainz, and then Valtteri Bottas. I think some of you would be able to afford afford that. And that for me is the best set of 5 drivers and also constructor. And that's what I'm looking to build with my wildcard, which I'm going to show you right now. But first of all, let me show you my third team, which is the only squad actually, which I haven't activated my wildcard in. With my third team, I made one transfer already, which was Sergio Perez out for Mick Schumacher. And that was really to chase price rises. And this was done around a week ago. But on the kind of subject of price rises, it has been a disaster for all of those, including myself, who have played the wildcard seeking these price changes, because the market actually froze for several days. And there is like a few hackers, I think, that pretty much dictate the market, and ultimately there's not much more we can do. So just bear that in mind when you're playing the wildcard. The main purpose of using that chip is to gain and seek those price rises, and ultimately it can work out very well. But right now, ahead of Azerbaijan, it just hasn't done so in this week. Hopefully we get some more price rises, but ultimately what I'm looking to do in my third team is actually make some reverse transfers. So I'll get Sergio Perez back in for Mick Schumacher, and then I'll probably get rid of Gasly. I'm not sure exactly for which driver just yet, but either way, it is my third squad, and ultimately my main focus is on Team 1, and because it's doing so well, Team 2. Let me show you those two squads and the wildcard squad I have right now. But it's worth noting that the current squad that I have for my wildcard is all about chasing those prices. So I'm going to show you what I'm looking to do for the actual race and the deadline. Teams 1 and 2 are identical right now because I'm using the wildcard. I'm chasing those price rises. The likes of Stroll, AlphaTauri, and a few others are all very close to rising. Valtteri Bottas right now is right up there in terms of sentiment, but ultimately we just have to wait and see and hope that the prices actually go up. I've actually gained 0.1 million already by Guan Yu Zhou, and actually he's already on course to rise yet again. So he seems to be the biggest riser at the moment. I think at the very beginning of last week, Max Verstappen was the one that went up by 0.2 million. And that makes complete sense because he's got an upcoming race streak. And that is very crucial. Whenever you see a driver of top quality on a race or qualifying streak, if they have both, that is just heaven and a godsend really. But what you want to do is get those drivers in because they could get you a lot of points, even with just a top 5 finish really, or top 10. Just remember, you can't turbo drive the likes of Russell, Hamilton and Verstappen. But this is what I have for teams 1 and 2. What am I looking to do for the actual race? Pretty much what I said earlier, in my opinion, the best squad at the moment. But as I always say, wait until the practice sessions before finalizing your squad, because maybe in Azerbaijan it'll be Ferrari doing very well instead of Red Bull. But as things stand, I think I would go for Red Bull as my constructor. And remember, with the wildcard, you can make 12 substitutions for free. Normally you can only make 3 substitutions for free. The other 3 that you're able to make would incur a -10 hit with each transfer or substitution that you make. So Red Bull will be my constructor, and then I get rid of all of these drivers pretty much, except for maybe Valtteri Bottas. I am actually heavily considering Max Verstappen because of that streak, but at the same time, I still think I'm going to go for that squad that I recommended to you earlier. So Sergio Perez would be in. I just think he offers great value for money. Him and Leclerc are the best fantasy options at the moment, so both of them would come in. I think I would go for one of Lando Norris or Carlos Sainz. I'm not exactly sure which one I'd go for right now. Once again, that will be determined once I see the practice sessions, but as things stand, let me just go for Carlos Sainz, and that gives me 7.2 million left over. I don't have much value, and that's why I was looking to use the wildcard and boost it up, but unfortunately it just hasn't really gone according to plan. I've only gained 0.1 million so far through the wildcard, which I activated earlier last week just after the rises for Max Verstappen. So the final driver here, and I think all of you will know who I'm going to go for, is Kevin Magnussen. But once again, I'm going to wait for those practice sessions, and then I'm going to finalize all of these teams, and I'm going to try and make some differences between team 1 and team 2. Maybe for one of those squads I will go for Max Verstappen to differentiate both of those teams. But pretty much that is what I'm looking to wildcard to. Ultimately right now I'm chasing those price rises, and hopefully they actually happen. Check out F1 Fantasy Tracker, the website. Highly recommend it. It's a really good way of keeping tabs on all of these price rises and falls. Very useful if you're playing the wildcard, or you just want to build up team value with substitutions or your free transfers pretty much. So that's a really good way of doing it. As you can see, the likes of Valtteri Bottas, Lance Stroll, and a few others are close for a price rise. Hopefully it actually happens. And then in terms of constructors, it is AlphaTauri. So let me know what you think the best team for Baku is. And if you are wildcarding, what are your plans? What do you think about the market? I know there's a lot to kind of dissect and I would like to see your thoughts on the matter. And also, don't you find it very strange that the likes of Red Bull, who in my opinion is the best constructor right now, is just proven by the constructors' standings and also the amount of points they have in fantasy, and Sergio Perez have all experienced price drops, even though they're producing the goods like in Monaco. It's just absolute insanity for me, but there you go. And thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. Let's get this video to 100 likes. It'd be very much appreciated. And if you want to see more F1 fantasy content, comment that down below. I'm planning to do a price predictions video, so let me know what you want to see on this channel. And also there's going to be more UCL fantasy content next season, as well as F1 fantasy and FPL. I'll keep you posted if anything changes. And actually, I am welcoming your feedback in terms of how to improve the videos or the graphics, the background, or maybe other types of videos you want to see. So I'm all ears. Let me know what you think. And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, as well as become a Patreon or channel member. All of the links are in the description below. You can get exclusive early access to all my videos. All the best of luck for Race Week 8. Enjoy the summer break. Hopefully you're having a great time, and I'll see you next time.